I'm Mabel Jong, and you're watching continuing coverage of the World Healthcare Congress here in Washington, D.C. Thanks so much for joining us, and a very special welcome to those of you who are joining us online. In the studio right now, Susan Reinhard, who is Senior VP at AARP, and she is also Chief Strategist for the Center to Champion Nursing in America. Susan, thank you so much for your time today.
Quite a mouthful, isn't it?
It is. Well, it's all the hats that you're wearing, right?
Well, two big ones anyway.
Really big jobs. You are here presenting at the Nurse Leadership Summit.
That's right.
And it is really a valuable resource to find out what is going on with the nursing profession and how to really safeguard some of the roles that nurses play in a changing healthcare landscape. What are some of the things that you're talking about at the summit?
We're really talking about how nurses can be leaders in promoting a culture of health. A culture of health is not always well understood. It's I think, broader than population health, although population health has a lot of different definitions. But it's the basic concept is that everybody deserves to have the opportunity for well-being. Very broad, World Health Organization level definition of health. And our feeling is that nurses can lead in that effort. So many times people think of nurses at a bedside, which is fine in hospital care, but even there, nurses have a lot to do with helping people who don't live in hospitals. They live outside of hospitals. So what can we do to help them have higher levels of health and well-being?
Haven't nurses always been on the front lines?
Well, that's such a great thing for you to say. Yes, that's true. But often, again, there's an image often of nursing that they're limited to tasks in hospitals, particularly in acute care. But nurses have always viewed the person as mind, body, spirit. That's our holistic view of health. And yes, we give expert, skilled care. In fact, we are America's most trusted profession time and time again because we are so close to people and their families. You get to know the nurse very, very well, nurses usually. But we also can think about what's happening when you go home. How do you live in your community? And nurses have many, many different roles. So I'm talking about nurses in acute care, but nurses are school nurses and public health nurses and occupational health nurses. There's 3.6 million nurses. So they are all over in many different settings. So that's why we think that nurses are in a particular position to lead this effort to improve well-being across settings.
Yes, I mean, are there growing opportunities since healthcare organizations are changing and they're going to need different people in different places as they figure out how to give the best care in the most efficient way? I
always say that society has an insatiable demand for nurses. I mean, years ago when I became a nurse myself, there were 2 million nurses. There are 3.6 million now. It's almost double. I'm not that old. It's really amazing how many nurses there are. And the reason is because nurses are broadly educated. They have a skill set that can be flexible in what is needed. So right now, the demand in population health, which is occurring in acute care, healthcare systems, in managed care organization, across all kinds of typical healthcare organizations, is very well suited to a nurse who understands how to care for people at the individual level, but also family level and community level across settings. So that opens a lot of different opportunities for nurses.
Well, we mentioned earlier that you wear two big hats. You're also Senior VP at AARP, which sounds like there's a lot of cross-pollination in what you do.
Yes.
So you wear two separate hats, but sometimes maybe you can wear at the same time.
I kind of like that.
Yes.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yes, because AARP is an organization of 38 million members who are 50 years of age or older. And the organization was birthed, I guess you would say, almost 60 years ago. So it's designed for people 50 plus and their families. And that pretty much opens up the door. And when we talk about nurses having 3.6 million of them, these are the people who are very much involved in caring for our members and their families. Particularly, we are focused a lot these days at AARP on family caregivers, which is a personal passion of mine as a former visiting nurse. So what can we do to help the 40 million family caregivers in the United States to be able to do the work that we expect them to do? And by the way, 1 in 4 are millennials. They're not just, we typically think of a 48-year-old woman caring for her mother. 1 in 4 are millennials, and 40% are men. So it's an experience that people have across gender, race, ethnicity, age, and so we're very focused on how nurses can better support family caregivers, how social workers, how doctors, how everybody can better support family caregivers.
In your leadership with the Center to Champion Nursing and your role in AARP, are you finding you're putting new things into place? What are the next steps that we can hear about when we talk to you again?
So one of the things we're really focused on at AARP is creating initiatives around healthy living. And in fact, I'm leading that effort for AARP. Not diseases, yes, I mean, there are lots of disease organizations which care for people with heart disease or diabetes or Alzheimer's disease. We're very interested in what our organization AARP can do to promote healthy living in mind, body, and spirit. Can you sleep better? How do you eat? Exercise, all of the things that are the pillars of brain health, which is incredibly interesting and important to people at AARP.
Well, we're glad to have had the chance to speak with you again this year, Susan. What keeps you coming back to the World Healthcare Congress?
The mixture of people that are here. I really like the private sector, there's academic researchers, there's people who are just plain curious about what's going on, and the global nature of this conference is really very interesting to me.
Okay, we'll hope to see you again next
Good.
year.
Thank you very much.
Susan.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay.
And thank you for watching. Stay tuned. We have much more to come. I'm Mabel Jong.